Look at you, got all done up, lipstick and everything.
Hey everybody, this is Malika Evanston Live TV, and we have with us special guest, business consultant Karim Dure. Am I saying your last name correctly?
Perfectly. Perfectly. Thank
Dure.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And look at you got like Paris behind you, and
Oh yeah, this is the IKEA special. You know,
it looks great. It looks great.
wishful
Good record.
thinking. That's
Great
that's what I
record.
wish I was.
Oh, I know. I wish we all could just be like traveling right now. Lord. Mm.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Those were the days when we could hop on a plane and go somewhere.
Right?
Lord.
Crazy times.
Well, Mr. DeRay, you've been a tremendous help to a lot of small business owners, like right here in Evanston.
Thank you.
Consulting. I know I come to you with questions and you're always there to help me out. I mean, you've set up my LLCs and I've learned just a great deal from you. And so, I was thinking, you know what? Everybody needs to know about Karim Dure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's definitely a pleasure helping entrepreneurs. So, getting the word out is key, and I would love to help more entrepreneurs, especially in these days. I think entrepreneurship probably looks a little bit more attractive to some people, as opposed to being in the 9 to 5 rat race or being at an office somewhere. Maybe doing your own thing as an entrepreneur might look a little bit more attractive these days.
Oh yeah, especially since a lot of people don't even have a job to even go back
Right.
to when this is all lifted.
Right.
So what would be your advice to people who, I've always believed. I remember watching an interview with Damon Dash on The Breakfast Club a couple years ago, and he was just pushing like, everybody should be an entrepreneur, especially
Yeah.
Black people need to be, self-employed.
Hmm.
And while I do, agree with him on some level, but some people just aren't cut out for it. Some people
Absolutely.
are cut out to be components in a 9 to 5, building someone else's company.
Right.
What's How does a person know if they're meant to be? Let's start there.
Right.
How do they know if they're meant to be an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I think even entrepreneurs are still trying to figure that out in their day-to-day hustle and their day-to-day struggle, understanding their own personality and what it is they have to give to make their business successful. So one of the things that we would teach when I was doing the educational program at Sunshine here in Evanston is to let people know, like you said, it's not for everybody. To be a successful entrepreneur, sometimes that means living and breathing it 24/7. And sometimes that means having the type of discipline that maybe you didn't have at your 9 to 5, or you weren't asked to have at your 9 to 5. Working all hours of the night, waking up in the middle of the night, getting calls all the time, constantly thinking about your business. If it's something you're passionate about, then it becomes it's not really work. It becomes something that consumes you, and it's a passion, and you love it. And now that you're doing it for a business, it's even more consuming, and you love it. If it's something you don't love to do, if it's not a passion of yours, entrepreneurship may not be for you, because it does call for a lot of self-discipline. You don't have a boss motivating you, telling you what to do. You're doing it yourself. You're waking up every day and you're taking care of the things that you have to do to make sure that your business is successful. And if you're not passionate, if you're not a self-starter, if you don't have that discipline, your business will not succeed. So you're right. If you're not the type of person that sees yourself doing that, then maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. But if you're the type of person who has a passion, has that type of discipline, you think that you can consistently on a day-to-day basis, stick to your task and make your business successful, then maybe it's for you. Maybe working for yourself and not working for somebody else is what your calling is. And maybe this is the right time to explore that. You might jump into something and recognize, okay, entrepreneurship isn't for me, but at least giving it a try, I think is worthy. I think many of us should try to get out there and follow our passion, start a business. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. You'll learn very quickly. Um, hey, I'm not cut out for this. And you might learn that you absolutely were an entrepreneur from day one and should have been, and maybe should have done this a long time ago. And you'll be so happy that you're now doing it. So I think for everybody, you do have to be honest with yourself, explore your strengths and your weaknesses, and be honest about that. But maybe you won't really know until you give it a try if entrepreneurship is your calling, or if it's something that maybe you're not cut out for.
Yes, yes. I'm one of those believers. Entrepreneurs are born. Now they may not find out. They might be maybe a late bloomer. Some are early
Mhm,
bloomers.
mhm.
They really tap into that energy in them
Wow.
to be entrepreneurs. I've always found one of the one of the sure signs that you're meant to be an entrepreneur is it is hard for you to work a 9 to 5 and take demands and commands
Right.
from a
Right.
boss. And there's something in you that's like, why am I taking this abuse from you? And
Right.
I could be doing my own thing, and you
Exactly.
just, some people just don't have the vision yet of what they want to do.
Mhm.
You kind of know inside, like,
Yeah.
I'm not meant to be asking, somebody, going to somebody for permission to go fly to see a sick family member. I got to
Right.
ask your permission. Some people are not okay with that.
But somebody tell me when you gotta go eat lunch.
Or when you can go eat lunch, when you can go to the
Right.
bathroom, like what?
Right.
But some people need that kind of routine. So when you get a person who is, brand new,
Mhm.
maybe they're stepping out into the unknown,
Mhm.
you know, and they come to you, what's the first thing you start walking them through
Mhm.
this whole entrepreneur world?
Well, I mean, first of all, I need to explore with them their idea. Is it feasible? Is it something that is going to sustain you? Does it make sense? Let's explore that. Let's explore the strategy that you have behind being an entrepreneur. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? So we need to go over some of those basic questions so you can explore for yourself the direction that you're going in. And after some of those initial discussions, some people say, you know what, I didn't think enough through this. Maybe I'm not ready. Or that initial discussion will prompt people to say, you know what, this is definitely the route I need to go. The questions you've asked me have really made me realize this is for me. I understand that this is my passion. I know that I've made a list of the things that I want to do in terms of the goals that I have, the service or the goods that I want to provide, how I'm going to do that. I've talked to somebody about the legal structure. I've talked to somebody about the financial implications. I've talked to somebody about some of the tax implications. I've gotten advice about the market. Is there a market out there? Is there a demand? Are there competitors out there? Is anybody doing this? Am I the first? So there's some questions that we need to go over that as an entrepreneur you have to figure out and recognize, is this worth my time? Is this the right time to do this? Is this the right product? Is this the right service to offer? What's the market looking like for this particular good or service that I'm trying to provide? Is it priced correctly? Do I have money to start this business, or is it a type of business that doesn't really need any money to start? Um, do I have a marketing budget? Do I understand how I'm going to get the word out? Am I going to use social media? Am I going to use the internet? Do I have a website? All those questions we need to go over. Those are fundamental, basic questions before you even start to really get out there and be an entrepreneur. These are some of the foundational questions that you have to take care of and understand. Once you get through that, if you're still ready to go, let's do it. If after going through all of that, you recognize that maybe it's not for me right now, or maybe I don't have all my ducks in a row right now, and I need to delay this, or I got to get some things in order before I do this, then that's what we do. But there are some basic fundamental questions we have to go over, and people will kind of have that aha moment, like this for me. I'm ready for this.
Okay, Kareem, give people a little bit more about your background. So we know that you were working with Sunshine. You were an advisor, consultant to a lot of the people who signed up for the Sunshine Program. And the Sunshine Program, and you can elaborate more on this, it was set up for people who were looking to either start a business or to learn more about
Right.
getting their business off the ground, or maybe their business had hit a plateau and they need some new information to take it to the next level. So tell people a little bit more about, your background, and because I know you've helped a lot of people right here in Evanston.
Yeah. Well, I started out practicing law for about 13 years. Then I got my MBA in 2011 from Kellogg here at Northwestern. And I started just working with small mom and pop entrepreneurs, people that I knew, people that I had actually met through the law practice, who needed help. And I was helping them as an attorney, incorporating, doing different things. A lot of them needed business advice, and a lot of them needed business consulting. And so that's where I came in and started doing that. So once I got my MBA, it was a natural progression to start helping people get started as entrepreneurs, help them with the paperwork, the incorporation, the tax issues, etc. And so fast forward, I started working at Sunshine. We were educating a 12-week program that takes people from the very beginning of the question of entrepreneurship to hopefully the launch of a company or a business. And afterwards, giving them coaching and mentorship and really guidance along the way, hooking them up with financial support, hooking them up with a solid network, hopefully getting them clients, and aiding them in getting to that next stage. Like you said, wherever they are, we would take them wherever they are and try to take them to that next stage. After leaving Sunshine, I worked with a consulting firm called Upside Down Consulting. And Upside Down Consulting worked with a lot of formerly incarcerated individuals, helping them become entrepreneurs, helping them become more self-determining citizens who could be entrepreneurs and could get out here and earn a living. And so that happened through not only educating them, but through starting a company where they could be owners, worker owners, employees who own their own company, don't have a boss. And so that is a project that I worked on for the past year. And I continue to do independent consulting. And hopefully we'll be doing a lot more now that people recognize that entrepreneurship may be the route for them.
Yeah, some people might be forced to go into entrepreneurship right now after this whole COVID lockdown situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're not forced to, even if you're blessed to still have a 9 to 5, this may be the time to explore that entrepreneurship opportunity, because this situation is showing us that everything is not guaranteed. Our jobs are not, guaranteed. Things can change quickly, and to not have a backup plan or to not have other streams of income could leave you exposed, and is not a fun feeling when what you're depending on dries up and you're kind of left out here in the lurch. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that. Now, imagine if, your job situation changes or your pay is cut, but you have other sources of income, other streams of income because you're an entrepreneur. You have other things going on. That might look a little different in terms of your bank account and in terms of your future and in terms of, how things are going to look when all this gets back to the new normal. So I think it's always wise just to have, different things going on, not just relying on that one 9 to 5 or that one job, because we never know what might happen.
I know that's right. I know that is right. What have you noticed have been some of the trends that people are leaning towards now in terms of starting businesses? Is it more restaurant? Is it more fashion? Is it technology? Is it
Yeah.
healthcare?
you're seeing it slowly, but it seems like, technology is obviously going to be an important element of our new normal. How we communicate, how we do our work, how we educate ourselves, um, shopping and commerce, all of that. You hear my little one background. But I think that entrepreneurs who are smart enough, or not even a question of smart, but are aware enough to understand that technology is certainly going to be the driving force for many entrepreneurs. I think if you can get on top of that, if you can really figure out where you fit with respect to technology and using the internet, using social media, using different modes of communication, like we're doing now with Zoom, if you understand how to really take advantage of that, I think that will be a wise move for entrepreneurs moving forward. How do I sell my service or my good virtually? How do I use the internet to connect with people? It can be limiting, but it also can be liberating, and it can be universal. It feels difficult to communicate with people and get in touch with people this way, but we can also get in touch with millions of people this way, through technology. So on one side, it feels a little bit lonely and kind of different and new, but perhaps we can find a way to manipulate it for our benefit and get in touch with more people, contact more customers, have more people see our goods and our services, and maybe use this opportunity to really figure out a new normal as entrepreneurs and take advantage of this. You know what I mean? So we could look at it as a positive, perhaps, and try to spin what is obviously not a great situation, but maybe the new normal gets us out of this craziness and into a new situation where we can be positive again and feel good about everything again.
Mm, mm. Now, would you say majority of your clients who take you on as a consultant, are you finding more and more women are hiring you now for consulting? People of color?
hmm You
Who?
know, I have seen in the past 5 years an uptick in women of color entrepreneurs. So I think that is a positive trend. It's continuing, and I think this situation is only going to, increase those numbers. Where we're going to see more women, we're going to see more women of color step out into roles of leadership and entrepreneurship, whether it's politics, finance, entrepreneurship. I think women and women of color in particular are definitely going to take larger roles and step into the limelight more. So as a business consultant, I do expect to see more women clients. And I think that's because many reasons, but I certainly think that because we're seeing the breakdown in our economy, people are having to go out there and figure out a way to make money. And I think many women are recognizing that, they're breadwinners. They're going to bring money to the table in their family, and whether it's through entrepreneurship or what have you, they're going to do that. I mean, women have always stepped to the forefront whenever there's a crisis. I think this is going to be no different. You're going to see a lot of women start to emerge as leaders, entrepreneurs, and so I do think there'll be a lot of clients who are going to be women of color, who are going to be starting new businesses and actually being leaders in this new normal.
Okay, and here's another question. That I had when you were helping me out, and I hear other people who are starting out a small business is whether or not to stay a sole proprietor,
hmm
start an LLC, the whole S corp,
Right,
C
right.
corp, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you break that down to people as
Yeah, and of
starting?
course, That's always one of the questions, and that's part of the consulting process, is to sit down with each entrepreneur and figure out what their goals are, what type of business they have, and what structure is best for them. Um, Oftentimes people choose LLC, and that's because it offers the protection that we need, the liability protection that we need. It's flexible, it's not too complex. And also, as you know, the prices to form an LLC were significantly reduced in the past year, I believe. So now to do an LLC is $150. $250 if you want to expedite it. It used to be 500 and 600 if you wanted to expedite. So obviously that's a big drop. And so that means now those who felt that it was cost prohibitive really don't have that excuse anymore. I mean, $150 is still $150, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than 500. And it makes the idea of jumping out there and trying something a little bit more feasible when it's $150. So each entrepreneur, though, needs to sit down with, whether it be me or whatever, whoever that consultant is, and figure out what incorporation status is best for them, based on their tax status, based on the number of employees, based on the type of business. Your consultant is gonna let you know what's best. Now, sole proprietorship and things of that nature, those don't offer the type of legal protection that we all need. If I'm a business owner, I'm always going to be susceptible to legal action if something doesn't go right with a product or a service that I'm offering, and I want to be protected. And not having proper incorporation can leave you exposed. So that's why you definitely don't want to be out here without the proper incorporation. So an LLC, an S corp, C corp, they're gonna protect you, and you need to talk to somebody about what works best. But being a sole proprietor, that doesn't offer you some of the protection that you might need. So it's a little bit risky. It depends on what you're doing. You're doing a little artwork or something, you may not need that same protection in terms of harming a client. If you're making food, obviously there's more of a chance that somebody could get sick because of the food that you prepared. That leaves you open to some liability. But if I prepare some art for you, or I make a picture or something, that's probably is going to be difficult for there to be legal issues in terms of harm brought to you. There may be some contractual issues, money issues, and things of that nature, and I still need to be protected as an entrepreneur. So you definitely need to make sure that you are protected with your incorporation status, and you have to talk to somebody to make sure you're in the right situation that protects you the way you need to be protected.
Okay. And how can people get in touch with you? Because I know there's quite a few people who, they're thinking about it. They're a
Mhm.
little afraid. Entrepreneurship is
Right,
is
right. It's
really
not
stepping into the unknown. You have no
yeah,
idea what's going to happen. You just know
exactly.
you got the passion and the drive, and you
Right.
need to be consistent with it.
Right.
How can they reach you, and how is let people know how you're set up? Like, do they talk to you first just for consulting, or
Right. Right.
what's the
That's a
setup?
good question. You can contact me and discuss um, what your goals are, what your needs are. We can figure out what's best for you, what those costs are. Obviously, there's costs associated with certain filings and the work that I might do for you. So we can work that out. There's no cost for a consultation and for us to discuss whatever goals somebody has. And if you're not sure if it's for you, we can still talk. There's no pressure, and there's no issue with that. You can contact me via email, which is my first initial and last name, K Dure, Kdure, the numerical number 11 at Gmail, Kdure11 at Gmail. You can text or call me, 312-217-1940, 312-217-1940. So either way, call me, email me, and we can set up an appointment, whether it be over the phone, Zoom, and talk about whatever your entrepreneurial goals are, and figure out what the next step is for you to get out there and make it happen.
Um, have you ever had to? I mean, just sitting down listening to someone. Have you just like, you know what, this might not be for you?
You know, I mean, you might think that. I might have that thought, but honestly, it's not for me to make that determination, because sometimes you'll sit down with somebody and they don't seem like they have everything in order, and they'll surprise you. They'll be the one, that is the rave and successful and doing big things. And then the next guy or the next woman that comes along who seems like they got everything in order, when it comes time to actually get out there and make money and do what you got to do, they just don't have it. They just don't have it. So it's not for me to judge, really. I'm sure there's entrepreneurs out there who are millionaires, billionaires, and if you met them, you would never think that this person could be successful or is successful. So, like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. But you're right. Sometimes you meet somebody and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if entrepreneurship is for you. You know what I mean? Maybe working the 9 to 5 is a better route. But again, people will fool you all the time. You never know. So that's why I say to people, give it a try. You never know. If you know yourself and you know it's not for you, that's one thing. But if you're not sure, I think it's worth a try. And I think this is the best time to make that leap.
Now, you had mentioned working with people who are, given a second chance, who've been incarcerated. Now, a lot of people would look at, people who've been incarcerated for, who knows, it could be anything, drug, um,
Related.
yeah, drug related crimes. I mean, but when you think about it, you know, those people tend to be very good with numbers.
Hmm.
They know a business structure
True.
like no other.
True.
It's I always say you cannot judge a book by its cover, because let me tell you, some of the people that you would think, God, what a loser. No, they have what it takes to make it. They just happen to go down a dark path for whatever reason, but they have the skill, the mind, the vision.
100%.
100%.
There's so many people that I've run into that are out here in the world that don't get a fair shake, don't have the type of background or the foundation, but have an amazing entrepreneurial spirit and an amazing entrepreneurial mind. Maybe they use it for something that is illegal. Maybe it's not on the up and up, but they certainly have what it takes to, like you said, with the numbers. They're organized. They understand how to push a product or a service and get the word out there. And whatever it is, they have it. And they just need the proper guidance and the proper opportunities to take those talents and those skills and apply them to something that is legal, and they can really thrive. Like you said, we all know people who, for whatever the reason, went the wrong route. But we always say, man, that guy could have been a CEO. He's so sharp. He's so good with numbers. He's really organized. He's on point. He's just, maybe he didn't get the right direction. Maybe he's doing it playing for the wrong team, so to speak. But yes, there's a lot of brilliant entrepreneurial minds that need to give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Mm, mm. Well, thank you so much, Kareem. I know you gotta get back. You got your kids back there. I mean, I think people should know you are such a hands-on father. Like, every time I've spoken to you on the phone or we met, you're like either have just left dropping your kids off, or you're going to pick them up, or you got them in the background, you helping them with homework. Family man, and helping so many people out here in the community to realize their visions and their dreams. So thank you so much for all that you do. And gosh, so yeah, I definitely want to help get the word out about what it is that you do. I don't think enough people know that you're a freaking gold mine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm really here to help. I think, like you said, we got a lot of entrepreneurial minds out here, and they just need a little bit of guidance, and they can do big things. And sometimes it's the fear or the apprehension that keeps people from making that leap. And I'm here to say, there's no reason not to try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if you don't try it, you will always regret that you didn't step out, because I think a lot of people have an entrepreneurial spirit and they need to tap into it. And so, maybe this craziness that we're experiencing in the world right now will be the catalyst for some people to get out there and do their own thing,
Mm,
you know.
yes, I agree. I agree 100% on that. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Kareem,
you.
and enjoy your family for the rest of the weekend in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for all the work that you do in the community. I really appreciate it. I love watching the work that you do, and seeing how you bring attention to issues, and to different people in our community that are doing good work. I'm honored that I'm now part of this tradition of getting the word out to our community about services and information and education. So thank you. I look forward to working with people. I know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that just need it kind of pulled out of them, and they can do big things. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with people.
All
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend yourself.
all right. Thank you, Kareem. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Malika. Have a great day.
You too. All right, this has been Malika of Evanston Live TV, and that was Karim Dure. I'll be sure to put his contact information in the description so you guys can reach out to him. I know some of you have been thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, especially, you know, those who have lost their jobs or, realizing your job isn't all that secure. Maybe you should have something going on the side while working a job, or maybe, it's time to make that vision come to life that you've always been dreaming about. He's definitely somebody you want to sit down and he can just guide you and lay out realistically, what it's going to look like, what it's going to take to get it structured and set up. And he's just an awesome individual and very, very straightforward and very knowledgeable. And yeah, give him a call. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
He's been great to the community. So again, as I've been ending every video, please keep your 6 feet distance, follow the guidelines, wear your mask, people, before you leave the house. Just put on those masks, people, and keep your hands clean. And when you walk back in the house, be sure you take your shoes off,
Mm.
because as we learned from Captain Bilal, you're tracking COVID-19 into the house. Don't want to do that. So take your shoes off at the door and just stay engaged with what's going on. Be conscious of what's going on around you. Do your best to stay in the house as best you can. I know they're opening up the beaches and doing all sorts of things. You won't see me out there. Y'all let me know how it goes.
Right.
Y'all let me know
Reach
how it
out
goes.
later.
But you all be safe out there and stay tuned. We've got some more amazing people doing amazing things right here in Evanston. This is Evanston Live TV. Stay tuned.